This is a katana, and this is a wakizashi. What's the difference? Length, and it is a legal definition rather than a stylistic one. A katana has a blade over about 60 centimeters. A wakizashi is 30 to 60. Worn together, they are the daisho, the long and the short, and under the Tokugawa, only a samurai was permitted the pair. A townsman could carry the short one alone. This is a tachi, and this is a katana. What's the difference? Which way up it hangs? A tachi is slung edge downwards from cords for use on horseback. A katana is thrust through the belt edge upwards, so it can be drawn and cut in one movement. Many surviving katana are short and tachi, and you can tell because the signature ends up on the wrong side. This is a shrine, and this is a temple. What's the difference? The gate. A Shinto shrine has a torii, 2 uprights, and 2 crossbars, marking where the ordinary world stops. A Buddhist temple has a roof gate with doors, and usually a pagoda. Shrine names end in jinja or teisha, temples in ji or dera. This is a geisha, and this is a Maiko. What's the difference? A Maiko is an apprentice, and everything about the costume says so loudly. The obi hangs almost to the floor rather than being tied in a compact knot. The collar is red rather than white, and the hair is her own rather than a wig. A geisha's look is deliberately plainer because she no longer has to advertise. This is a kimono, and this is a yukata. What's the difference? Lining and season. A kimono is lined, often silk, and worn with an underrobe and split-toe socks. A yukata is a single layer of unlined cotton with nothing under it and bare feet in wooden sandals. Yukata began as what you wore coming out of the bath. This is Ukiyo-e, and this is Nihonga. What's the difference? How many exist? Ukiyo-e is a woodblock print, so a design was cut into cherry blocks and pulled hundreds or thousands of times, which is why the Great Wave hangs in museums on 3 continents at once. Nihonga is painted on silk or paper with mineral pigments, and there is one. This is Hiragana, and this is Katakana. What's the difference? Shape and job. Hiragana is round and flowing and carries grammar. The endings, the particles, the native words. Katakana is angular and carries foreign words, loanwords, and emphasis. They encode exactly the same sounds, so any word can be written in either, and the choice is about what kind of word it is. This is no, and this is Kabuki. What's the difference? No is masked, slow, and about 600 years old, and it was performed for the warrior class. Kabuki is unmasked, painted, loud, and about 400, and it was popular theater for townspeople. A no actor crossing the stage can take a full minute. Kabuki has a runway into the audience. This is Sakura, and this is you and me. What's the difference? Look at the petal tip and the stem. A cherry petal has a small notch cut into its end and hangs on a visible stalk. A plum petal is round with no notch and sits tight against the branch. Plum also flowers first in the cold, which is why it means endurance, and cherry means transience. This is ramen, and this is udon. What's the difference? The alkali. Ramen noodles are made with kansui, an alkaline mineral water, which turns them yellow, makes them springy, and is the reason they hold up in hot broth. Udon is just wheat flour, salt, and water. So it is white, thick, and soft. Ramen also arrived from China. Udon has been there far longer. This is soba, and this is udon. What's the difference? Soba is buckwheat, which is not a wheat at all but a relative of rhubarb, and it has almost no gluten, so soba dough barely holds together and the noodles are thin and fragile. Udon is wheat and stretches. Soba is gray-brown, udon is white. This is mochi, and this is dango. What's the difference? How the rice was treated. Mochi is whole, glutinous rice steamed, and then pounded, which is why it's stretchy. Dango is made from rice flour mixed with water and boiled, so it is denser and chewier and does not stretch. Dango also comes on a skewer, in 3s or 4s. This is a samurai, and this is a Ronin. What's the difference? Employment. A Ronin is a samurai with no lord, and the word means wave man, someone adrift. It was not a class or a style, it was a circumstance, and after Sekigahara there were hundreds of thousands of them. The 47 Ronin are called that because their lord had been ordered to kill himself. This is a shogun and this is an emperor. What's the difference? Who actually governed? The emperor was the sovereign and the religious head in Kyoto continuously. The shogun was in principle his military commander and in practice ran the country from somewhere else entirely for most of 680 years. The emperor appointed him, which is the polite fiction that made it work. This is an onsen and this is a Sento. What's the difference? Where the water comes from. An onsen is fed by a natural hot spring and the law is specific. At least 25 degrees at source, or containing one of 19 listed minerals. A Sento is a bathhouse that heats ordinary tap water. One is geology, the other is plumbing. This is a Shinkansen and this is a local train. What's the difference? The track gauge, which is why it had to be built entirely separately. Japan's old network is narrow gauge at 1,067 millimeters. The Shinkansen is standard gauge at 1,435 on its own dedicated line with no level crossings anywhere. That is the real reason it is fast and the reason it has never had a passenger fatality from a derailment or collision. This is wasabi and this is horseradish. What's the difference? Almost everything sold as wasabi outside Japan is dyed horseradish because real wasabi is a semi-aquatic plant that takes about 2 years to grow and loses its heat within 15 minutes of being grated. That is why it is grated at the counter, traditionally on shark skin. This is a koi and this is a goldfish. What's the difference? Barbels. A koi has whiskers at the corners of its mouth and a goldfish has none because they are different species. Koi are common carp. Goldfish are Prussian carp. Koi were bred in Niigata rice paddies from the 1820s. Goldfish were bred in China 1,000 years earlier. This is bonsai and this is penjing. What's the difference? Bonsai is Japanese and shows one tree, refined towards an idealized shape in a plain pot. Penjing is Chinese, older, and shows a whole landscape. Rocks, water, sometimes several trees and figures. Bonsai came from penjing and then removed everything except the tree. This is a haiku and this is a tanka. What's the difference? 2 lines in 1,000 years. Tanka is the older form, 31 sounds in 5 parts. Haiku is 17, and it began as the opening verse of a linked chain that other poets continued. Basho made that opening verse stand alone, and the rest of the chain fell away. This is a torii and this is a sanmon. What's the difference? A torii has no doors and no roof over a passage. 2 posts, 2 beams, and nothing to stop you. It marks a boundary rather than closing one. A sanmon is a Buddhist temple gate, roofed, often 2 stories, and it is a building you walk through. This is a daruma and this is a Maneki-neko. What's the difference? What you do with it. A daruma arrives with both eyes blank. You fill one in when you set a goal and the other when you achieve it. A Maneki-neko is passive, and which paw is raised means something. The left invites customers, the right invites money. This is a shamisen and this is a kodo. What's the difference? 3 strings against 13. A shamisen has a long fretless neck and a small square body, and it is plucked hard with a large plectrum, so it is percussive. A kodo is a 2-meter zither laid on the floor with movable bridges under every string, so is tuned by sliding them.